Now moving on to the last part that I want to hit on, which is the performance. This thing had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 670 chipset, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 615 GPU, and 4GB of RAM. Now those specs may sound like not that great of a phone anymore, but like I said before, this thing did technically, come out in 2019. It did have that watered down 670 chipset, so it didn't have that 8 series at the time, but still totally okay for the most part. And the fact that it only had 4GB of RAM isn't really that big of a deal because the Pixel 3 and 3 XL had 4GB of RAM too, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. And what I can tell you about the performances is that because this device, again, the software is optimized for this hardware, it's really not that bad of an experience, and it shouldn't be because it's not even 2 years old anymore. Even though it's rocking a chipset that isn't the latest and greatest, it still has a really decent performance inside of it. So whenever I would do anything, using the UI, because the UI is stock and everything, there's not a lot of stuff in the background. So whenever I open an app and all that good stuff, it really, day-to-day tasks are going to be fine with this thing, just like how they're going to be fine on really any other device. If you're just texting people, going on TikTok, Snapchat, all that stuff, you're going to be perfectly fine on this type of phone. But even taking it up to a notch and going up to something like, Real Racing 3 or doing heavier intensive gaming, this device is probably going to be able to handle it for the most part, but it's not going to be like the craziest best performance. It's going to be a great performing device for sure, but if you're expecting something like, this device is going to be able to just blow your socks off and everything, you may not get it from this specific device, I'll be completely honest. But I do think at the end of the day, the performance from this device is still top tier, and if you're trying to pick up a phone in 2021 and you want something that's stock and has a long longevity and has pretty decent software and performance inside of it for a cheap price tag, this device is probably going to be perfectly fine for you. So in terms of that pretty much covers up the performance segment.